Everybody manifests their own life, regardless of whether if you want to or not. And here's why. I've been having this conversation with my friend the other day, and she is a firm believer of manifestation, and she does journaling. She writes down what she wants, and she's gotten all the things that she wanted to achieve so far. And I was thinking, what does manifestation have to do with us, as in people that know the concept of manifestation but don't really practice it? And then I came to a conclusion that we are always manifesting the life outcome. And I wanted to explain it through kind of my life story of being in a school that travels to a lot of countries, fundraising my own way here, and opening my own business as a high school student. And I wanted to think about how positive mindset and manifestation specifically has an impact on what I've done in my life. And I'm filming this all of a sudden, and I was like, maybe I should film a new YouTube. So here I am. You can skip this part if you are not interested in my lovey talk. But thank you so much for 2K followers on YouTube. It's been less than a month since I started, and the 10 things that I learned in India, which you guys should definitely watch, got more than 100K views, and I'm really happy I was able to share that with you guys. I was initially thinking of like an online book that you need to like pay money for, but I'm glad I did this. Well, but we're gonna talk about manifestation today. So when I say manifestation, I feel like people would imagine like candles, just chanting or journaling, but I've never done those things. But I still believe that I did manifest my big life decisions. It's enough that you have those things in mind to call that into a reality, you know? And I'm not a very like deep core spiritual person, so it feels weird just talking about this. But knowing that these things exist in the world, like these concepts, as like a trigger for you to take new actions or try something new. Let's get into chapter 1, going to the US. I moved to the US when I was in 5th grade from Japan. I did not speak English at all, but I went to a local middle school in San Jose, which was really nice, which was such a nice area to live in, but it was challenging at the same time because obviously I couldn't speak the language that they were using to communicate. So I had this iPad with only Google Translate installed that was given by my teacher, and he was like, use this to talk to your friends and me. And I used to carry that all the time with me during school and talk to people with it. Now that I think about it, that situation is so challenging and also so lonely, because imagine you're in a space that you don't know anybody, it's a completely new environment, plus you don't speak the language that they speak. You would feel pretty isolated. And regardless of that, I think I continued going during elementary school, which I'm really proud of. And the reason why I was able to do that was visualization of what I would look like when I become able to speak English. The key point is, I didn't think about it as if I was able to. I was thinking about it as when I become able to. So I didn't have a possibility in mind that I wouldn't be able to communicate with people ever. What I was unconsciously doing was restricting my mind so that there's no option of me not being able to accomplish a certain thing. It's a matter of when. So that mindset did help me going forward, because I knew that I was going to be able to communicate with people someday. And it's a matter of when I will be able to do it and how fast I can do that based on what I do and my skills. That's what kept me going forward. I learned English through my friends I made at school. I watched Harry Potter like 122 times. I read a book out loud at home to kind of remember how to pronounce every word and stuff like that. I think I became pretty good at English in a year, and I think I was lucky that I had a lot of friends and teachers that could help me. But the key lesson from this story is that when you visualize something without the possibility of you not achieving it, in your brain it becomes clear that you are actually going to achieve it someday. So I think it's important, never visualize in details of what would happen if you don't, because, well, there's no possibility that you won't if you just keep on going. So I think visualization is the key part to restrict your mind and focus on when it would happen instead of whether if it would happen in the first place. Moving on to chapter 2, I'm going to talk about me launching my own fashion brand when I was in high school. So in my last year of high school, I launched a brand called You and Me. me, and it's a kimono recycling brand where I use secondhand kimonos to make jackets, scrunchies, little purses, and I launched that right before I graduated. And I did fashion shows, I also did launching events and stuff like that. It was such a valuable experience to know how to operate a business, especially retail businesses, and how I can communicate with people in terms of telling the story behind the brand, leading people to support the brand, purchase the products if they really like them. I got to know a lot of people that are also passionate in the fashion industry, the sustainability industry, and Japanese cultures in general. So it was a really valuable experience for me that I made the decision to commit to building my own brand. This also leads to what I was saying in chapter 1, but when I decided that I want to launch my brand, I didn't think of what if. So what if I don't find the right kimono sellers, or what if I don't make the right products, or what if like none of my friends or people like it? I didn't think about those possibilities. I just thought of what I can do based on what I want to do. So I kept on thinking about actions instead of fearing what ways I can fail on it. I am not saying that it's useless to think about the risks, because I think it is really important to have a plan B when you're doing something really important, that you have plans to support yourself. And I think I was lucky in that part because I did this when I was in high school, so there was no risk of me, going bankrupt. But at the same time, I only thought of the actions that I could take in terms of achieving what I wanted to do, which was to launch my own brand. A lot of people ask me how I came to a decision of making my own brand. Again, I'm not spiritual, but I would say that the idea fell down on me at the right time. I'm not saying this because like some eternal being like called on me or something like that. I think it was because of mounting experiences and the mindset that I had, because at that time we did like bunch of reflections where we just reflect on what we thought about the class, what interested us, what didn't interest us. So it was kind of like a normal thing for me to think about who I am and what I like. So kind of compounding on that, realized that I'm into fashion, that I'm really into kimonos especially, and that I wanted to do something related to sustainability, like sustaining the culture. I saw a jacket that my dad wore that looked like a kimono but was way shorter than it was. And at that time I was like, wow, this is it. And sometimes you can call it a calling, which I did. But at the same time, if you think about it logically, in a way, I think you could think of it as amounting experiences, repetitive practices of kind of thinking about what you like, what you don't like, what you want to do, and then kind of getting into the idea. So what I want to say from this is that there should be a phase where you just compound experiences, where you're thinking about your interests, your passion, your strengths, and then the moment will come at some point, this concrete thing that you want to do. And I think that's the whole manifestation too. You kind of compound the experiences on what you want to do, and then sometimes it leads you to different directions, but it might be something that you really, really wanted to do. And so there are two phases, and I would say when something calls on you, just trust your gut and do it. So I think that was important for me, that I did believe in my guts, and I think a lot of it had to do with me kind of constantly looking for who I am. I'm munching on my dry fruits because I talked a lot. This is so good, by the way. The last piece I want to talk about is me choosing to go to a school abroad. I wouldn't say I even chose to go to a school abroad, because when I applied for it, I did not think that I was going to get in. And this is the third point that I wanted to talk about. I had no intention of actually getting accepted into that school, but I don't think that's true at the same time. I think there was somewhere in my mind that was like, I think you can do it. Because if I thought 120% that I'm not gonna get accepted, why would I take the test in the first place, right? And so I feel like you doing something, or you having a desire to do something, already means that you see a possibility in your mind that you can do it. I think that's a good enough excuse or a good enough reason for you to try it out. And so what I did was that I had no idea that I was gonna get into that school. But somewhere in my mind, I was like, maybe I can do it. That's why I did it. If your mind says, oh, maybe you should do that, even if majority of you are being like, no way you're gonna do that, or like, no way you can do it, just do it. Because you having the desire to do it, like a calling to do it already, means that you can see yourself doing it. Focus on the possibility of you doing it and don't think of if, just think about when you achieve it and then do it. Well, that's not what I did when I applied for college, but I think that's the same mindset, you know? After getting into the school, my problem was that I didn't have enough money to go to the school. So I reached out to a lot of foundations in Japan, institutions that give students financial aid, but none of them worked because a majority of places didn't accept my school as the listed school that I could apply for. I was stuck for several months until I was talking about this with my best friend, and she was like, oh, maybe you can do a fundraising because I know someone that is doing fundraising right now. And it was a person that was fundraising to go to a school in the US as well from Japan. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, like this will be the last action I take. And if I don't get enough money from this, then I would give up on the idea of going to Minerva. Minerva is the school that I go to. And so I decided to do a fundraise. I did it for a month and none of the people that I talked to told me that I could do it. I clearly remember 2 weeks in, I didn't even reach like 30% of what I wanted to. And I was talking to people and they were saying, honestly, I think it's a bad idea because no one in the end is interested in what school a stranger goes to. I thought that that made sense and it was super sad for me because it was the person that I relied on when I needed advices. So hearing that demotivating comment just made me feel so kind of hopeless in a sense. But I just kept on going and the miracle happened in the last 3 days before the crowdfund ends, and it was basically a person that operates cram schools for people that wants to go to universities abroad, and they funded me enough money to achieve my goal. And so I was able to do it with 217 people in total supporting me to go to Minerva University. What I take away from this is that, like, in the end, there's no reason. You just have to do it if you start it. It's so hard to quit once you start. It was really important for me that regardless of what I heard from the mentors that I really trusted, I just kept on going because it was so embarrassing for me to stop in the first place, you know? I advertised it on every platform and I was like, I'm gonna start a crowdfund. Please, like fundraise me. Every one of my friends knew about it. I couldn't give up. So I was like, it's way less cool if you stop just now than completing it till the end. Okay, I don't know if my English made sense on that sense. But yeah, I just kept on going. So just do it. If you have the initial urge to do it, then just do it. I do believe that I manifested pretty much my entire life. But I don't think manifestation means something that most people believe in, which is to firmly believe it so that the universe delivers, you know? I think it's more about you acting consistently, believing in your urge and guts, and then you just stop being someone that thinks about what ifs and become a person that only imagining one. And that's when so-called manifestation happens in your life. So adding on that, I honestly don't know what I'm manifesting right now. Currently, I'm 2 weeks into Berkeley and I'm not doing well on social media. I'm going to Argentina in September. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know what my social media is going to look like, but I know that I will be able to do things at the right time if I trust my voice and my guts. So just believing in that, I think it's enough for you to have a little push on doing something that you want to do when an idea pops up in your head. I really hope that this became a comforting video for people that don't have concrete things that they want to do yet, and maybe a trigger for some people that had a calling but wasn't doing it yet. So maybe think about what is one thing that you haven't done but you really want, and what can you do for the next step towards it. I'm actually curious, so let me know. But anyways, this was my video about manifestation. I hope you guys liked it. But let me know if there's any topics that you want me to talk about. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok as well. So please find me there. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!